Hello, my name's Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we get mistaken for gods. Again? No.
Yes. No. Wait. What? Again? It's happened before.
You're telling me you haven't been mistaken for a god?
No, have you?
No? Okay.
This is the
that
first
resolves
time.
that. Okay. So we watched the Aztecs.
Yes. That.
I forgot to open our information cheat sheet.
I didn't like this serial as much as the last one, or as much as some of the previous ones. It was kind of just a generic
Filler serial.
I guess.
Yeah.
Barbara did a lot again. She
was like
effed up a lot.
The entire plot was Barbara.
Yeah. Susan didn't do much. Susan's actually stopped doing much, to be honest. She's the new Barbara, really. But
Barbara's the new Susan.
Yeah. Ian did a lot as usual, and the Doctor kind of just messed around with Aztec people and technology.
And became Tagana for 2 episodes.
The Doctor's pretty manipulative.
So, start with a summary, as usual.
Mm-hmm. So, the 4
Intrepid adventurers.
Yeah. Travel to like an Aztec city.
Temple of some sort.
Yeah. And they come out of this tomb. It was like one of their gods' tombs, and they come out of it. So the high priest and his buddies think that
High Priest
Barbara...
Tloxel.
Yeah. No, it was Otlock or whatever.
Otlock.
Yeah. So all the Aztecs think that Barbara is a god named Yetaxa.
Yeah, because she's wearing the bracelet that she took from the tomb. Wow, Barbara. Grave raider person thing.
So they start worshipping her as a god.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened.
Look at that picture on the... It's Barbara, and then, like, you see the Doctor in the background, and he's just frowning, like, disapproving of Barbara.
That's probably from the scene where he tells Barbara not to stop the human sacrifice. But then she did it anyway.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiling this episode anyway! Anyway.
Ixta dies.
They don't even know who Ixta is yet!
What happens then, though?
Okay, so she gets mistaken for a god, and then all of a sudden, Susan, Ian, and the Doctor come out of the tomb, and they want to know where Barbara is, and Otlock wants to, like, honor them as servants of the Ataxa, and then they find out Barbara is the Ataxa, and then they find out the door to the tomb is one way, so now the TARDIS is trapped in the tomb.
Yeah, so they're stuck there with Barbara as a god.
And so one of the main plot points is Barbara wants to change history and make the Aztec people less savage.
Yeah, she wants to basically stop their ritual of sacrificing people every couple of days.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is a pretty bad idea, because 1, she fails, and 2... spoiler alert. And 2, I mean, I don't know, changing history like that probably isn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's going to take a lot to convince an entire
race to stop following their traditions.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so there's a human sacrifice.
Well, Otlock is pretty open to it, to be honest. The High Priest is like, yeah, sure.
High Priest of Knowledge. Because Tloxel was the High Priest of Sacrifice.
Okay, there's different sects, I guess.
So there's a human sacrifice, and the Doctor tells Barbara not to interfere. But she does anyway, and she stops the guy getting killed, and the guy's upset because it was a great honor for him to be chosen to be killed. So he decides to run and jump off the side of the temple and commit suicide.
Yeah, and the whole thing was that Barbara was trying to show them... Because the reason they want to sacrifice people is because they think it makes it rain. So...
And then it ended up raining right after he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Convenient for Tloxel.
Yeah.
Tloxel.
Tlotoxel.
However you say that. Tlotoxl.
Yeah. Yeah, all the Aztecs were played by white people again, so all the...
Were they?
Yeah, most of them were. Remember in the credits?
Oh, my favorite line was when they get there and Susan's like, "Oh, the Aztecs, they were Mexican. We must be back on Earth." Like, wow, Susan. Wow.
Yeah, but no, see, Otlock was played by Keith Pyatt, Flatoxel was John Ringham, Ixta, Ian Cullen.
Well, Kameka was Margaret Vanderberg.
And first victim, Tom Booth, Aztec Captain, David Anderson, yeah.
Andre Boulay. Perfect for me. So he commits suicide, and then Klotzkl starts wondering if Barbara is really the Ataxa.
It was just the Ataxa, it wasn't like the Ataxa. I think it was.
Which was the Ataxa?
I think
the Ataxa.
I thought it was Yataxa, whatever. But I mean, like, I thought it was just a name of one of their gods or something. Who knows? But
we don't.
But yeah, Ixta is basically, what did Ixta even do in the first two episodes?
Ixta was the leader of the warriors, and
he fights. He's gonna fight Ian
because Klotzkl wanted him to kill Ian. So like Ian challenged Ixta.
Yeah, Ian put on like they're wearing these weird bird and cat masks where it's like well, before
they fight, Ian does the Vulcan death grip thing on Ixta, which makes him upset because he thinks Ian is using magic.
Oh yeah.
And then he challenges Ian to an actual fight, and then you can explain the thing now.
Okay, well, I was gonna explain the masks they were wearing, which was basically like a head of an animal, like a bird, or I guess like a toucan or something, where the beak would just open up and expose their face, and that was the front of the mask. So I don't know, it looked kind of weird. And there were like leopard ones, I guess. But basically, Ixta thinks he can't win against Ian because Ian's just gonna use quote unquote magic. So the doctor's been trying to find a way to get back to the TARDIS this whole time by like talking to people in town and like
there's like this garden where the old people retire, sort of.
Yeah, and then there's this lady who falls in love with the doctor.
Well, that comes.
Yeah,
later.
That's a little later. But basically, Ixta goes to the doctor because I guess he thinks he knows a lot about.
Well, Ixta's the son of the builder of the temple, and the doctor heard from Kameka that he had blueprints of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So Ixta goes to the doctor and asks him for a way to beat a warrior, not specifying that it was Ian. So the doctor shows him this plant that like drugs you and makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
So Ixta goes to battle, and the doctor learns that he's fighting Ian. He's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, he tells Ixta to just, I guess, scratch Ian with the thorn so he'll get knocked out, which Ixta does.
Right after the doctor yells, "Ian, don't let him scratch you!"
And then comes my favorite scene from the entire serial. So
this is the end of episode 2.
Yeah, and at the start of episode 3, Ixta is about to kill Ian, so Platoxel goes up to Barbara and he's like, "If you're really a god, then save your follower." So Barbara pulls out a knife and puts it to Platoxel's neck, and he's like, "If you want Platoxel to live, you'll let Ian live." And everyone's like, "Okay, Barbara, whoa, calm down, Yataxa."
Whoa, we'll back off, whoa.
Yataxa, what are you doing? Yataxa.
Stop.
So yeah, that's how that's
Ixta gets all buddy with Ian.
Yeah, he's like
gonna kill Ian.
He's like, time. "Ian, now that I know I'm gonna kill you, we can be friends for the next couple of days." And Ian's just like, "Okay."
Okay, thanks. So then the doctor's in the garden talking to Kameka, and Kameka has like cocoa beans because she's in love with the doctor, and she wants to
make a love potion for him,
which is just like melted cocoa, hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, yeah.
And the doctor, not knowing this, sees the cocoa beans like, "Ah, yes, good plan. Let's eat some. I'll go make some cocoa." And she's like, "Yay!"
So then they both drink it, and then Kameka is like, "So this means you're in love with me, doctor?" And the doctor's like, "Yes." No. What?
He doesn't say that, but that was his face.
Yeah.
Just zoomed in on his face, and it was just flabbergasted look on his face. And then later he goes to talk to Ian. He's talking to Ian, And he's telling Ian about this thing that he got from Kameka, this, like, gold plate thing that has the seal of the Atoxa on it. And Ian asked him where he got it, and he said, "Oh, from my fiancée." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Wait, your fiancée?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I made some cocoa, and now I'm engaged." Yeah, that episode was pretty boring, the third one.
It was funny, though.
Yeah, it was
those
funny.
two scenes were funny. I guess they weren't supposed to be, but they were.
Well, I'm glad there was some humor in the show. So, in the third episode... Wow, we watched it this morning. I can't even remember what happened.
We watched the episodes in a really weird way this week. We watched 2 at the beginning of the week, and then 2, 40 minutes ago. Yeah. That's why we're not really very,
The first 2 episodes, somebody was terrible because it was like a week ago.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes are just gone from our memories.
Like an unearthly child, I remember none of that, except for the TARDIS being in a junkyard.
I remember more of Unearthly Child than the Cavemen or...
The Caveman was Unearthly Child.
Well, no, because, Unearthly Child I consider just the first episode, and then Cavemen is, what comes after that.
Cavemen. So...
Unearthly Child didn't really... is that a word? Into
I think you're thinking of Segway.
Segway? Those things you ride?
No, Segway. It's pronounced Segway. S-E-G-U-E. Segway.
I've never heard anyone pronounce it like that.
It's in the script.
What script?
The script that we're using for our musical.
I thought a Segway were those 2-wheeled scooter things.
They are! That's spelled differently.
Pretty sure it's Seg.
No,
I'm just gonna keep pronouncing it as Seg.
No, you're doing it wrong.
What was I even saying?
Something about an unearthly child segging into the cavemen.
But no, I don't know, I just considered it its own separate thing, but that's besides the point. Where were we? What were we even talking about?
Not remembering the episodes.
The doctor should just ride through the Aztec village on a Segway.
He does make a wheel.
He should have made a Segway.
So, anyway...
He should have been like, "Hey guys, I made this
Segway."
Okay,
the third episode.
And it would have been like, "That doesn't help, Doctor. Why did you make this?" Yeah,
third episode. The Doctor finds a tunnel in the garden that he thinks goes to the tomb. Which turns out it does, but he doesn't know. So he gets Ian, and they open it, and Ixta followed Ian to the tunnel.
Oh, that reminds me. During that, you said that the stone they were moving to uncover the tunnel looked like styrofoam, and I agree in that scene it did, but I feel like the rest of the sets for this serial were really good and better than the other serials.
Yeah.
Except that part in the, outside Barbara's chamber where it just looks like a curtain painted as the background. That looked pretty good.
It probably was.
Yeah. But, other than that, I thought the sets looked really good.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So... Ian goes into the tunnel, and then Ixta shows up, and he's talking to the Doctor, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was just gonna go for a walk." And Ixta's like, "Oh yeah, better close up this tunnel."
Yeah.
So he closes it up, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, okay." And then Ixta says, "Oh yeah, my dad built it. It fills up with water for some weird reason. It's not explained."
Yeah. But so Ian's like, "Oh shoot."
And then the Doctor freaks out. "Ixta, open this, help me please, Ixta." And then, that was the end of the third episode.
Did we skip the entire part where they try to poison Barbara, or is that next?
No, that was next, because Ian was in the chamber.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ian finds his way out of the tunnel by lifting up this roof panel.
Yeah, he wasn't really... I didn't feel like he was in that much danger, to be honest. He was just like, "Oh, look, water. Oh, look, this panel I can push up to get out."
So, he ends up in...
the tomb of Yatoxa.
Dun, dun, dun!
And meanwhile, Platoxel and his, I guess, servant Tanila they want to see if Barbara is a real god or not. So they try and give her a quote-unquote peace offering, which is actually poison, because they think that, if she's a god, she won't die, but if she's human, she'll just die. So they go do that.
Well, just before that, Ian ties the rope to the top of the door and then comes through.
Yeah, so he's
in
hiding out in Barbara's chamber, and Barbara's about to drink what Tlatox gives her, and Ian's just like, no, don't do it, like signaling.
I feel like we're getting this all out of order. What happened to the scene where Ian was overhearing Tloxel talk to the guy about their plan to do something to the Yataxa?
Yeah, I guess that happened.
And then there was the scene where Ian showed up and knocked out Ixta and got Susan. There was the scene where Susan denied marrying the sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
So many things out of order.
Well...
Oh, yeah. So in the second episode, Susan gets sent to the school. Guess you should clarify that.
Well, we watched these a week ago, so,
This is the worst summary I've ever done.
I don't know. Marco Polo was pretty bad.
Okay, so Susan goes to the school in the second episode. So in the third episode, or the beginning of the fourth, this guy comes who's going to be a sacrifice on the day of the darkness.
It's like a solar eclipse or something.
And
they're like, yo, Susan, marry him. And she's like, what? No.
And then Tloxel goes to Barbara as the Yataxa and asks her if someone who has spoken against the Yataxa should be punished. Not clarifying that it was Susan. She's like, oh, okay, fine. And then she finds out it's Susan. She's like, oh no!
Yeah.
So that all happened, and then they try to poison Barbara, and Ian's like, no! So she doesn't drink it, and she tells Tloxel
she dramatically throws the cup on the ground.
After she tries to get Tloxel to drink it.
Yeah.
Tlatoxel. Tlatoxel. Hey, look, Altlak is spelled with an A.
Yeah. Oh. Dang it.
So
then Barbara reveals that she's not a god.
To Tloxel, but she tells him that if he tells anyone, then he'll be punished, or she'll smear his name or something.
Yeah, Barbara was actually being kind of manipulative
but also just ruining everything in general.
I mean, it was really Barbara and Susan who kind of ruined stuff for
the
everyone.
Doctor and Ian.
Yeah, because I feel like
the Doctor was just trying to get away to the TARDIS, and Ian was just kind of stand by and help the Doctor. Whereas Barbara and Susan...
Well, the thing is, because Barbara and Susan were... Maybe not so much Susan, but Barbara was trying to, change their ways and stuff.
Right.
But they were just going to get out of there anyway. So, if Barbara and Susan didn't try and go against the Aztecs culture, they would have gotten out faster. And it's not like they actually changed them, so it didn't really matter in the end.
Well, Barbara trying to change things made... Tloxel
it worsened it for them.
Yeah, so she could have died. By denying it, she put herself and Ian and Barbara and Ian and Susan and the Doctor in danger. So there was no guarantee they were going to get out. As soon as Barbara stopped the human sacrifice, she basically ruined any chance of them getting out there safely.
And I think, Susan trying to deny the marriage kind of...
Yeah, but Susan wasn't going to die. They were just going to prick her with thorns.
That's still a pretty bad punishment.
So Artlock, I guess. No, well, Ixta and Tloxel come up with a scheme to frame Ian for knocking out Artlock.
Yeah.
So, Ian and Susan go to open the tunnel again. Because
Susan's being held because she's about to be punished or whatever. So Ian goes and
rescue Susan
and
knocking out Ixta, who thinks Ian is dead.
No, because they give the guard Kameka's
that was when Ian and Susan were captured, which was after they went to the garden and they found Artlock, and then they arrested Ian and Susan.
Oh yeah.
And then they said Ian was going to be sacrificed.
And then Ixta kills the dude.
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up.
Artlock gives Kameka his seal, which like, guarantees all of his possessions.
This doesn't make sense.
And he gives it
This
to make
summary.
and tells her to take it to the people holding Ian and Susan, and to use it to make the guard look the other way so she can take Susan. And then while he's looking the other way, Ian just knocks him out and steals his
bird mask.
Bird mask. So they get out,
And then Ixta comes along. He's like, "Whoa!"
and then
Traitor.
Toxel tells him to kill him. Die.
Yeah, so that adds another number
death
on our
count.
death count. And
So they go to the temple, and there's the sacrifice, and the doctor's made a pulley, and he's going to use it to
we
open
forgot
the
the part where they tried to open the door in the first place, and they snapped the rope.
Yeah. And
That happens.
the doctor said, "Oh, we need a pulley."
So
Wait,
he makes
he
a
makes
wheel.
one
He
out of
invents the
wood.
wheel.
He invents the wheel.
But after that,
So there's the sacrifice, and the doctor and Susan are hiding there. And Ian comes, and Toxel, after realizing that Ian and Susan were gone, comes to kill Barbara. He pulls out a knife and is about to stab her, but then Ian, hiding in his bird mask, stops him. And then Toxel calls for Ixta.
and they have a sword fight.
Yeah,
or
Ixta,
club fight, or
Ixta
whatever
and
those
Ian
things were.
fight.
Yeah, there's always an intense fight at
And
the
then
end of
Ixta
each
dies.
series.
I was confused. So it looked like Ixta walked up these
it
stairs.
did look like stairs.
And,
Maybe it
but
was on
then
the other
Ian
side, yeah.
chucks him off the same location, and he just falls
Maybe
straight down.
Maybe they were steep. Who knows? But yeah, Ixta's death was actually kind of funny because Ian, Ixta's basically about to kill Ian, but then Ian does this WWE flip move thing where he throws Ixta off the side of the temple, and there's just this stock sound generic library type scream where it's just ah, and then there's the heavy object is falling at a very high speed sound, which is near, and I don't know, it was just funny.
Anyway, that makes Ian the second of our 4 adventurers to kill someone directly.
And the first person to kill a human.
What?
Because Barbara just killed the Morphos.
Oh, right. What was she? Did she kill someone else? She killed enough to be almost on level with Tagana.
Oh yeah, so she killed those 4. Didn't kill Darius. Didn't kill the Knight. Didn't kill Vassor.
Pretty sure she killed someone.
It was just the Morphos. Whatever. But yeah, then they make their escape. They go back to the TARDIS. And this episode didn't have a next time thing.
There was a sort of segue at the end where the Doctor's all confused. Where
that word again.
One of his instruments says they've stopped, but the other one says they're moving. And Ian says, well, maybe we've landed on something. And then Barbara says, maybe we've landed in something. And then it ends.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they landed in something, because otherwise they wouldn't put that line there.
What if the TARDIS's stuff is just messed up again, like it usually is?
We barely ever see the inside of the TARDIS.
Yeah, well, Edge of Destruction was enough for me.
We'll probably see it again in the coming episodes, I think.
Yeah, hopefully there's not another serial that's just inside the TARDIS again, though.
No, but I'd like to see the inside of the TARDIS utilized more.
For what?
Traveling. Because all we see is them travel, and then they get out and they do stuff, and the TARDIS gets trapped somewhere, so they can't use the technology in it, and they get back in and go somewhere else. They should change up the formula once in a while.
I guess, but the inside of the TARDIS is kind of a boring area.
It is all white.
Yeah.
Or at least we assume it's all white. It's in grayscale. So, yeah, that was our summary. If you could follow that. Here's all you need to know. Barbara gets mistaken for a goddess. She tries to stop some human sacrifice. Everyone gets into trouble, but then they all get out of it and they escape.
Yep.
And Otlock ends up in the forest wandering forever, trying to find the truth. We didn't mention that, but we did now.
Sucks for him, I guess.
It was his own decision. I mean...
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about costumes. So I mentioned... Well, when we were watching it, I thought Troxel looked like a really Aztec-themed version of the Joker. The red...
Kind of.
This red stripe across his lip and then across his cheeks. Which was kind of distracting, to be honest. I would assume it would be red, but it wasn't grayscale, so it was...
Yeah, I just assumed it was red, too, for some reason.
Strange. Funny how that works.
And no, I didn't think it was distracting, though. It was just there.
Every time he was on screen, I was like, hey, look at the stripe. That was weird headdress thing with the X.
Yeah, and
was also kind of
Barbara had like a really sunflower on her head or something. But no, I liked their masks. The bird head things and the leopards.
The best part of that was when Troxel was calling for Ixten, and Ixten looked up like sniffing around like a dog, but he had the cheetah mask on.
Yeah, and when he was walking up the steps, it was like sort of almost a top-down view of Ixten, and it would just look like a cat head on a human body walking up the steps.
Oh yeah, the fight with the really weird cinematography.
Oh yeah,
super zoomed in on Ian and Ixta.
Yeah, well, the cameras we were reading before in this serial didn't have zoom functions, so they had to move the cameras physically whenever they wanted to have a different angle or wanted to zoom in or zoom out. But I still don't see why that would cause them to have such zoomed in... Like, basically in the fight between Ian and Ixta at the end, it was just really zoomed in on their faces for some reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Well, neither do I. Don't know the
Maybe they're just like, let's choreograph less of this fight to save time and money. Just zoom it in on their faces and have them look like they're doing stuff.
Well, we did get to see Ian flip Ixta off of the
temple.
Thing.
Yeah, I guess they were stunt doubles, uncredited cast, stunt double
for Ian and stunt double
David
for
Anderson.
Billy Cornelius.
Hey, he played... David Anderson also was the Aztec captain.
I bet... Well, I'm pretty sure they reuse actors for a lot of these serials.
Yeah, David Anderson was in the Aztecs, the Crusade, the Time Meddler, and the Daleks' Master Plan, which we haven't watched. Oh, he was a caravan warrior and soldier in Marco Polo.
Uncredited. Yeah. Like, I feel like I've seen Ian Cullen's name somewhere before.
Oh yeah, Ian Cullen looked like Jim Carrey, not gonna lie. Ixta looked like Jim Carrey.
Kind of, maybe. I didn't really see it as much as you did, I guess.
I mean, it was just his face, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they all had that haircut.
The same haircut?
Yeah.
Let's see. Special effects. That rock that looked like styrofoam.
No, I mean, we mentioned before, but I liked the look of the town and the temple, actually. It looked good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean...
I guess it's not that hard to make styrofoam look like rocks. I mean, when you're moving the rocks, that's when you can tell it's styrofoam or, like, not rock.
Not rock. This rock made from 100% not rock.
But really, there's not that much to talk about in this serial. I thought it was just kind of... It was good, but it was just kind of...
It wasn't as empty as The Edge of Destruction, though. There was stuff going on.
Well, yeah, it was better than Edge of Destruction, but it just seemed like, you know...
pretty boring.
You know, cut and dried. Here you go. Here are the antagonists. They're doing stuff. Barbara is also doing stuff.
For once in her life. But at the same time, just messing everything up.
Yeah.
She should have just listened to the doctor and not done anything.
Yeah, I've liked Barbara up until now. I've wanted her to do more, and she did in the last serial. But during this serial, I was like, Barbara, just
changed my mind. Barbara just...
Just
like we said in the last episode, but just go back to being useless. We didn't see a lot of Susan in the serial.
Yeah, Susan, honestly,
I think
Susan has been doing less and less, and in this serial, she was almost just a plot device for them to do.
Oh, yeah, she was on holiday.
Oh.
Like William Hartnell in the last serial.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Susan will do more, I guess.
We want everybody to just do more.
Well, Ian has been doing a lot. The Doctor did a lot in this serial.
The Doctor, Tagada.
Crap, there was something I wanted to say about Barbara. But I don't remember.
Was it about Tagada?
No. What was it? What did I want to say about Barbara? Oh, I guess, I mean, her intentions were in the right place, but just...
You can't change history. The Doctor has said time and time again. Especially in the new series. That's a thing. Fixed points in time and mumbo jumbo, why the Doctor's not allowed to interfere. Wow, there really isn't anything to talk about in this episode, is there?
No, there's really not. I don't know, what did you like?
The Doctor.
The Doctor?
Being manipulative.
The Doctor was kind of just in the background doing his own thing, which ended up working.
Yeah, the Doctor ended up saving everyone. Or at least finding out how to save everyone.
Yeah.
And Ian did all the work from there.
Yeah, it's kind of usually what happens. The Doctor figures out what to do, and then Ian's like, "All right,
I'll do it.
the rest of you guys aren't doing anything, so I guess it's up to me."
All right, thanks for the plan, Doctor. I'll go do it. BRB. I guess.
Crap, what was it that I wanted to say about Barbara?
The scene where the Doctor wants Ixta to open the cave is probably one of the first times we've seen the Doctor actually care, like, a lot about his companions. Like, we've seen vague references to it before, like, wanting to escape from Marco Polo's caravan. But I think this was the first time we actually saw the Doctor have an, oh dang, he's gonna die moment.
Well,
for Ian.
Well, of course you wouldn't want him to die. Like, that's just natural. But, I mean, I guess you're kind of right about that. When has he done that before? Has he? He didn't really in Keys of Marinus. Didn't really explicitly in Marco Polo.
Yeah. He definitely didn't in Unearthly Child.
Yeah.
And Edge of Destruction.
Just, what was Edge of Destruction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Doctor actually cares about Ian.
Aww.
What was that thing you wanted to say about Barbara?
I don't know. It was that she was.
So, incidental music. There was drums.
Oh yeah, there was those bongo drum things in the fight between Ian and Ixta. I noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed them earlier. I can't remember when it was now.
I imagined a guy, like during the fight, I imagined this guy just... You can't see what I'm doing, but it's funny.
He's moving his hands like he's drumming. Some guy on set trying to coordinate his bongos with the fight scene.
They're recording it live. The camera just pans over, you see a guy in the corner just drumming.
Yeah, I noticed in this serial the incidental music was written by a different person than previously.
Oh, I didn't notice it at all except for those drums. But I...
No, I only noticed it was different because watching the credits. It was like, incidental music written by... Name that I didn't recognize from previous serials.
But no, my couple favorite parts of this serial were actually the ones that were really funny but probably weren't meant to be. Like when Barbara is about to kill Toxel, or when the Doctor finds out he just drank a love potion.
All of the scenes where it zoomed in on people's faces and they had some really exaggerated emotion.
Yeah. Or like when it was, I guess, Ixta and the doctor when they're outside the passageway. There was like this weird scene where Ixta was just looking at the doctor out of the corner of his eye with like his eyebrows raised, and then it panned over to the doctor, and the doctor was also doing the same thing. And I was like, all right.
Oh, okay. No flubbing of lines in this one, or at least none that I noticed. So that was good.
I read on the wiki that Ixta flubbed one of his lines, but I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
I didn't even notice Hartnell.
Yeah.
To be honest, so I guess he's getting better. But really, this was just, I think, the most generic serial of all of them so far. It was just kind of...
Even more generic than Edge of Destruction.
Edge of Destruction was really non-generic, in my opinion. Not that that makes it good, but it wasn't generic, you have to admit. It was, like, way out there and weird.
Which is pretty generic for the Doctor.
Okay, maybe. But so far, mostly it's just been the four travelers come upon a society or a group or just people who are
doing some stuff they don't recognize, and then they get upset, and then they leave.
Not really. No, it's more like they come across people who
do some stuff.
Yeah, okay. No, but they come across people who are either their planet is in danger or their race is in danger, or there's like conspiracy or unrest within the group.
Okay, you just covered like every plot line ever. There's a group in danger for some reason. Nice. Can you generalize it any more than there's a group in danger?
No, but it's more like Daleks and Keys of Marinus were kind of just like, the planet is in danger, save it. And then the rest of the serials were just like, okay, here's this group of people and they're quarreling, either because of something the Doctor and friends did or just because they happen to stumble upon everything and make it worse. There you go.
But you can't do anything different from that, is what I'm saying. The way you've generalized it right now is just how every story ever has to be. There always has to be some sort of stake for the Doctor to even be there.
Well, I mean, like...
There has to be a reason for the Doctor to be there, otherwise no one would watch it.
Well, I mean, think about Marco Polo and the Aztecs. They were almost kind of the same thing with the Toxel admittedly being way less manipulative than Tagana, but they were kind of like, you know, Polo has to decide between what he's previously believed and what he now is encountering, as does Otlock. And there's, you know, the antagonist dude who's like, yo, I'm doing stuff.
There has to be some sort of stake for the Doctor to be there. The stake in both cases being, how do we get back to the TARDIS?
Yeah, I mean, of course, but like...
I mean, in Marco Polo, it was also make sure Marco doesn't die from Tagana. And the Aztecs, it was make sure Barbara doesn't get us all killed.
But I don't know. I feel like Edge of Destruction, even though it wasn't good, did something different. Which I guess, as I said before, didn't make it good.
Right, there's a group in danger, and they have to solve it. The people were in danger, and they had to solve it. There's no difference.
Well, no, because usually the Doctor and everyone come across another group who's either quarreling amongst themselves or, you know, whatever. But I remembered what I wanted to say about Barbara. It's that... it's that
something really useless, isn't it?
It's, I mean, even though she was kind of messing everything up and letting power go to her head, wouldn't you have kind of liked that? It's like, yo, I'm a god, and everyone's like, yeah, you're a god.
Right.
That would have been kind of awesome for a little while.
Up until the point where you did something wrong and now everyone wants to kill you.
I wouldn't have stopped the sacrifice. I would have been like, hey, sacrifice, count me in. No, not really.
Count me in. I'll be sacrificed. Kill me. Take me next. I'm down.
But yeah, I can see why she kind of let that power go to her head. Even though she did kind of mess everything up for everyone.
She should have just listened to the Doctor for once. For once! You could have listened to the Doctor! I guess without it, there wouldn't have been a plot, though. Curse you, Barbara.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm out of things to say.
Yeah,
in this episode.
there's what else is there to say in this episode? Just nothing.
Nothing. We got an email this week.
Mm-hmm.
Should we read it? Do you want to read it? Should I read it?
Go ahead and read it.
From Rory Costanza. Subject: question with a lowercase q. Hi guys, love the podcast. I have a couple of questions. Do we know why the Doctor is actually called the Doctor, i.e. what happened that he became known as the Doctor? Also, when the original series starts, can we assume that the first time we meet the Doctor that he is the first incarnation of the Doctor, i.e. he is the very first Doctor who has yet to regenerate for the first time? Thanks, keep up the good work. Rory.
Well, in regards to that second question, I think we can assume that because he's gone through all of his regenerations. Why? Hasn't he gone through all of his regenerations?
We know now, presently,
Yeah.
with all of the show
Yeah.
going on, that we can assume he's the first.
Yeah, that's
but if
why-
you're watching this
Well,
now...
if you were watching it back when it first aired, you couldn't assume that, and you wouldn't even
Yeah, that's
know.
what he's asking. Can we assume that the first time we meet the Doctor that he is the first incarnation? The answer is no. We haven't heard any indication that he's the first.
Well, if you're assuming that we don't know anything about the modern series or anything past the episode we just watched, we can't even assume that there are incarnations.
Yeah.
But like, if we're watching it now with all our knowledge of the future,
But even then, we don't know if he's the first Doctor, because I was reading about regeneration the other day, and there's an episode where a psychic entity gets like entangled with the Doctor's brain, and these
Edge of destruction.
these faces flash on the screen, and it's supposed to be heavily implied that they're previous incarnations of the Doctor. Even though we consider this Doctor the first, it's heavily implied that there are some before.
But then how does he regenerate so many times? Just cause? Alright, whatever.
It's a number that someone arbitrarily imposed as to be 12 regenerations that no one ever forgot. There was an interview about that.
Alright.
Like Russell T Davies in the reboot of the new series tried to make it 507 in an episode, and the fan base just blew up.
It should be 507. It should be.
In regards to the first question, what happened that he became known as the Doctor? He's not in the credits, he's listed as Doctor Who right now.
Yeah.
And he calls himself the Doctor. Like when he told the Khan, he's like, "Oh, my name's the Doctor."
He's never been called Doctor Who, except when like someone asked Ian's like, "We need to
go to the Doctor."
They were like, "Doctor Who," and he was like, "Ha ha ha, ha." But yeah, so I don't know.
No idea why he's called the Doctor. And we can't even assume he's the first incarnation. Technically.
So he's just an old man.
As of right now, I'm guessing somewhere down the line, probably the third Doctor, he'll probably mention, "Oh, I'm the third incarnation," which...
By the way, guys, I'm the third incarnation. Everyone else is like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, cool, thanks. Which would... All the Doctors making reference to the fact of their number is what everyone has determined to be that the first Doctor is the first Doctor. However, we've seen no indication that he's actually the first.
Well, he's the first one who has...
Us.
Yeah.
Not me. 10th was my first. First was your first.
Yes. Okay. What we're watching next week.
First, you should email us so we have more emails to read out on our podcast.
It.
And we can give you somewhat intellectual answers like you just did. The Doctor at decorativevegetable.com.
Do it.
Email now for our undying love and gratitude. For all of 10 seconds. Next week, we're watching...
The Sensorites. That.
Which is the least descriptive name.
They're in something moving.
Or we assume they are. The least descriptive name of any serial so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That wraps that up.
Yeah, that does.
Didn't have a pun this week, like last week. That was pretty good. The ending.
Should we have a pun every week?
No.
Why not?
The end.